Hi, everyone. Welcome to the fourth episode of the Ginger Snap podcast. I'm Stephanie,
I'm Rachel.
and this week we have our special guest, Brandon, back with us. Hi, Brandon.
Hello.
We're going to start out by checking in with each other with our new color chart, whatever you want to call it, our mood color chart. It's just something we came up with just to kind of check in with each other, and you guys can do so also in the comments if you want. I think today I'd have to go with blue. I'm not gonna lie. I just felt kind of down today. No particular reason. Just having a day. How about you guys?
I'm
Go ahead,
I'm the,
Rachel.
I'm the same, kind of bluish red, but not really purple. Um, yeah, not the best day, but not the worst either. So
I've kind of, let's see, today I've had about, let's see, well, I called my buddy that's got rheumatoid arthritis that's made him pretty much bedridden that I play golf with. And that was kind of downing, but he's getting slowly better. And then I went and seen my buddy that had back surgery. He's getting better. And when I say buddies, these guys are in their 70s. And the only part that I would feel really down about was when I went by and saw my buddy's grave today. And that was that. And then after that, of course, I was happy because it was a relief in a way. But other than that, I'm happy. So I've kind of had the two, but in
Yeah.
a different way. More on the emotion side.
So then blue and yellow.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, so last week we were talking to Brandon, giving his testimony. Brandon, go ahead and continue. I know we got cut short last week, so this is our part two.
Yeah. I was at the part where I was talking about going to school and, you know, and then I'd get picked on and all kinds of stuff. And I had family members that went to school that would like take up for me, of course, and friends. And then at that time, which was elementary school, anxiety really hadn't had really happened yet. And then we graduated fifth grade, going into middle school, and then that year, me and Rachel both lost our grandfather. And then right after that, the agoraphobic stuff, which is fear of the unknown, started. I mean, it was like if they said it was going to storm tomorrow, well, I was already worked up going, okay, how bad is it going to be? When's it going to happen? Is it going to happen when I'm at school? If it was going to happen when I was in school, I was already freaking out, full blown panic mode, but then it was on and off. And at this time, I was only on one medication, which was Ativan. And usually I could take it and go on about my day. And that's about through middle school. That's mostly what happened. And then as I got older and started to mature a little bit more into high school, I started noticing it happening for no reason. I'd be sitting in a classroom, it'd be beautiful outside, and then out of nowhere, just bang. I mean, just start feeling like I had 1,000 pounds of bricks on my chest, couldn't catch my breath, uh, tense, my whole body would tense up for no reason. And then, so that happened all the way through high school. And then I had buddies in school with me that was in the fire department with me, and they'd come sit with me and they'd talk with me and help me get calmed down, you know. And at that time, I had went to uh, let's see, s- uh, 3 times a day Ativan, 3 times a day what was that medicine called? Buspar, and 150 milligrams of Effexor every day. And then, but the Effexor was once a day of 150, or no, 225. Take that back. 225, 3 Ativan a day, and 3 Buspar a day. And that worked for the longest of times. I took it forever. And then went through high school, graduated, and then 2 weeks later, our grandmother passes away. And so, what made it really hard on me is when my grandfather died, we sold our house and moved in with my grandma. And then grandma sold her house, and we bought this house up here where I live. And she moved in with us. So, every day, every morning, getting her paper, throwing it up on the porch, you know, she'd wave when I'd ride by on the bus or whatever. And, and then I'd come home, food would be cooked, dinner would be cooked, all kinds of stuff like that, and then gone. Two of what I would call the people that you would call when you'd have a problem, and then, like, within 5 minutes, you forgot what was even wrong. Because with them, you could talk about, like I said, why the sky's blue, and it don't matter. I mean, it didn't, because when you were in their presence, it didn't matter. Your imagination could run anywhere it wanted to go, and they didn't. They just, and their unconditional love, and just that the talking to and all that, and then it's just it's hard to put into words. I know it's almost been 30 years, 30 years for my grandfather, and almost 25 for my grandmother. And, you know, I learned along the way, through my faith, how to deal with it and how to but at first it was very hard, very, very hard, and like I heard Rachel in the first one talking about when my grandpa slid his shoes underneath the coffee table, that was his thing, and who does it now? This guy right here. You know, there's lots of habits that he had that I pick on and I'll do sometimes, and I'll go, "Oh, remember Papa doing that?" But it don't bother me now. I laugh about it. I laugh at it now. Or Granny and Grandma would say something, and I'd say it now, and I laugh about it. You know, and then so that was tough. And then when Grandma passed, it was full blown, you know, pretty much paralyzing anxiety for no reason. I mean, it went from, you know, just here and there to where it pretty much it was, you know, laying in the bed going, I'm useless. But I never had any thought of hurting myself because I was scared of death anyway. Death scared the heck out of me. So I didn't want to do I knew not that wasn't the route. And so we worked on my medicine a little bit, and it got me a little bit better. And then I started playing in the band with my cousin, and but everywhere I went, my parents had to go because I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it by myself because of my anxiety. So I had them going all over the place with me. And then after a while, my cousin got hooked on things that I won't discuss. And then so finally I hated it, but I had to do the tough love thing and cut ties. And I'd be like, "Look, dude, if you can't stay," I was like, "I don't care how much you drink, but that other stuff I'm not dealing with." I said, "It's gonna cost you in the end." And then so so I dealt with that all the way through my 20s into, let's see, 6 years, 7 years ago, I was about 30. Well, I just 34ish. Um, I started going to car shows, and I met my preacher and his wife, and then a girl my dad worked with, or a lady, I should say, said, "You need to get Brandon to come out to these car shows," which is at the Food City right down here at the end of my road, which is about a mile away. And then so I started going and I got into it, and then they invited me to church for to eat Wednesday night dinner. And I came down there, and at first I was like, I don't know what I'm getting into, and then I went in and heard him preach, and I was like, this guy knows is good. And then so I got interested in that. And then I met probably the best friend I've ever had. His name was Grant Bledsoe, and he was a singer and musician just like me. He had a band outside of the church, rock band, that I didn't even have to try out for. He just saw a video of me playing and was like, "You're in. I want you in my band right now." And so we started doing that, and then it went from that to him being like somebody that I looked up to when it come to many things, life, uh, why things happen. Um, and he was my Sunday school teacher, so he would actually take time out of his day away from his family and make things that I didn't understand in the biblical part and help me understand it. And why he felt the way he felt and I felt the way I felt were two totally different ways, but they weren't wrong ways. It's just we both felt different ways. You know, he got emotional when you talk about Jesus because of what happened to Jesus. And then me, I felt more you know, like I do about the American flag. I was proud to know that, what happened to Jesus happened because if it hadn't have, you know, in my faith, then you go to a very bad place. And, he started teaching me this. So he went through the same thing I went through. And it got to a point with him that his wife walked in on him and he had a G to his head. And she said, "Don't do this, don't do this. You've got too much to live for." He said, "You've got three daughters, me, and that was it." And he never took a medication in his life. And then so he started like I did, but this was years and years before I met him. He turned his life over to God and took off, and so he started doing that. So he started teaching me, look, he goes, "I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just giving you a way out." And he said, "I know you don't understand everything right now. It's going to take you a while." He said, "But stick with me. I'll help you." He said, "But you got to understand something. Don't pray to me, pray to God." He goes, "Whatever I help you with, if it works, don't praise me, praise God." He said, "Because what all I'm doing is giving you directions." He said, "What I say doesn't matter." So I started doing and sometimes he would get off the cuff with me. I mean, he'd be like, "Listen, dude, you got to do this. If you don't do this, it's not going to work. That's not how it's intended to work or intended to be anyway." So within knowing him a year, I was doing things that I'd never done before, good things. And the anxiety level was slowly dropping down. The depression level and feeling useless level was slowly coming down. I mean, and he started me out with just a little thing like he'd say, he goes, and he always asked me this, or they ask everybody this. He said, "Are you saved?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, here's what you need to do." He said, "Go home." He said, and he goes, "It doesn't matter what time of day it is. If you got 5 minutes," he said, "make up a short prayer to God and say, this burden that rides on me, I'm going to give it to you because I don't know what to do with it. And my doctors, doctors don't know everything, but you do. So I'm going to give you this burden and let you lift it off of me. And each time I do that, it would get better, better, and better, and better. And then, you know, and that's just that much of it, you know, because then there's the whole confession, forgiveness, you know, because there's things like that I learned, like, of course, Rachel, what the day we were supposed to do the second part and we didn't. And me and Steph was talking about this, I think. Um, you know, if you're a believer, you know, God forgives people that are in prison that's murdered people. Well, if he's willing to do that and he's willing to give us for our wrongs, then we've got to be able to forgive people too. Now, it doesn't matter what they did, how bad it was. You just gotta, in prayer, in a little prayer, say, God, forgive. I want to give this person, that person, or whatever that they did this wrong. They did this wrong, but I want to forgive them because then that takes the weight off of you and takes the judgment part off of you. And then if you never see them again, that's fine. But I guarantee you, if you see them again, no matter what they've done, you will see a totally different human being. I mean, and then you won't even look at them the same. And what I mean by that is when you walk in the door, you'll notice a different way they step, way they talk, how they talk to you, how they approach you. And then you're sitting there in shock going, oh God, I don't know how to respond to this because it's worked. You know, it's like, I've seen it with my own eyes, you know, and it's like, whoa, this person hated me and I prayed about it. And now this person loves me and I didn't even say nothing to them. I said nothing to them. I haven't talked to them. I haven't called them. I haven't texted them. I just prayed that God would help me fix this thing that's hindering a friendship or anything. And within maybe a week, it was like, hey man, come here. You know, let's do this right. We've known each other forever. Let's not do it this way. Or or it'll come back that, they'll say, I've done wrong. And it'll be like, well, I've done wrong too, you know, but you kind of sew it back together to where it works out. And I've done that, watched it happen with my own two eyes, you know, and that's all it takes is just a simple prayer. Now, if that's not for you, it's not for you, but I'm not going to force it down your throat. I'm just saying, give it a shot because I'm, yes, I do take medication. I take clonazepam times a day, gabapentin 3 times a day, and 300 milligrams of uh, Effexor. But what I'm telling you, this is the strong point of my testimony because this is what got me out of the hell I was living in, literal hell, because I couldn't do nothing. Rachel knows I would not leave my house. And now I'm going to car shows. I'm all over the place. I'm going everywhere with my church. I'm teaching kids in basketball, sports, going and playing guitars in places, and stepping out on my own and my own faith, stepping out on my own faith, not somebody else's, not got to have somebody with me. I step out and I go, you know what? I've got to do this because one day, one way or another, I got to do it anyway. So why not do it now? But with the right guidance, it's much easier than trying to step out there and fall on your face 5 or 6 times before you finally go, oh, wait a minute, there's a guide, a way help to help me not do this. I mean, you know, and but like I said, there's nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's sinless. Nobody's wrongless. I mean, I do it every day. I have to come in here my thing is when I do my little prayer thing, that's the first thing I got to do every day. I hate I have to do it, but it's true. But I have to. I have to come in here and say, God, I'm sorry. I've messed up. I've said things I shouldn't have said, thought things in my mind I shouldn't have thought, did things with my body I should have never done, you know, and but once you confess that and ask for forgiveness for that, it's gone forever. You don't have to pray for it again. It's gone, you know. And then you cast that burden to God or Jesus and you say, I can't carry this burden, nor do I know how to do anything with it. And you cast it to him and say, I give you this burden to dismiss it from me. He takes it and does away with it. And then you keep doing, like, you don't have to go to church every time the door is open. You ain't got to open the Bible every day or anything like that. You just got to, just a little bit, pick a couple times a week to either read the Bible or a lot of people don't have time to go to church, but you do have time to flip open and read. Everybody reads. Here's what, because I'm going to go ahead and say this. There's probably going to be Christian people that watch this and they're going to get mad, but I don't care because I know this is a fact. Me as a Christian person, I know that there's good Christians and there's bad Christians. Okay. Good Christian people, they want it to be inviting. They want whatever they're doing and all the happiness and joy and the blessings to be inviting to people. Whereas bad Christians shove it down your throat, throw it in your face. It's all about money. And money, where you stand, what you are, and who you know, that's where you stand in church, which is dead wrong. That's just I'm saying this to other Christians. I'm not saying this to anybody on here. But those are the ones that make people that go, well, maybe I should. They're the ones that make those people turn and go, no, and they run for the hills. When you need to go at your own and go with your heart, never go with your. I mean, a lot of people say go with my gut. That's a different type of thing. Go with your heart. Don't go with up here because what you're thinking sometimes may come out wrong. But if you go with your heart, it'll never come out wrong because it's sincere. But he taught me so much that, and my preacher and listening to him and these guys that are older that's been through Vietnam, Desert Storm, and watch people, their best friends from boot camp die right in front of them, you know, and how, and picking up bloody Bibles that were their brothers that they've been with for years, you know, and reading it on the battlefield while being shot at, you know, and things like that. I want it to be inviting. I want somebody to go. Because I know this. I know that it is very life changing, and once you get once you do it once and you get that feeling, that good feeling, like, man, this day has gone perfect to the T. No matter what goes wrong or what goes right, your day's still perfect. That's when you start going, I'm gonna keep doing this a little bit and see how this, and then you get more interested, you know. But there's a lot in the Bible to learn. Like if you were to go read the book of Revelations, which is the last chapter of the Bible, you would look in it